So we now actually need this to sort of do things, right? So I guess what we can do, we'll try to kick first, okay? So we'll go into a kick player. We'll declare some properties. So we'll say const, just some variables, constants. So the const of the target player, okay? Because I think what I really probably should do actually is rename this to target info, just so we know. I'm going to do that actually. That's going to be much less confusing, because remember the player infos are our abstractions. We've got simplified ones that just contain an ID and a name and potentially anything else in future that's not part of the standard player object. So, oh, where am I going? I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. There we go. So if we target info, and target info, which the quickly swap is around as well. Okay. So I'm going to call this target, which is going to be a type of, I think, player. Yeah, we'll say it's going to be a new HZ. Because a lot of these methods we're going to call, they do need the target info to be applied to actual Horizons player. It's very important. So to do that, we simply need to provide the ID to the constructor of player. So if we say target info dot ID, and that should clear us. So we've now got a constant called target. Okay. Cool. So I think we're gonna again, this kind of copy paste code isn't generally a good pattern in programming, but honestly, it's fine. Stick with it because it isolates all its functionality into little boxes. Some amount of repetition is okay. Wait, so what we need to do is we also need to get the spawn into a constant, okay? Certainly for the kick and release anyway, and the two different spawns. So const, and this is going to be a spawn, and it's going to equal, well, we've actually got it. If you remember, we defined it in the properties at the top. So I just sort of peel upwards, right? Got release spawn and jail spawn. They're both of type entity, but notice there's no default value, and that's absolutely fine. But we do need to just test that they do actually have value. So back down to the kick player function here. Okay. What we're going to say is this dot props dot now it's the jail spawn that we're after, I would say. But if we try and use that could cause problems. So what we're going to say is we're going to say as. We need to basically cast it to a type of HZ dot. It's spawn gizmo. Yeah, spawn point gizmo, that's the one. So that now, without that as going on, right? See, if it is spawn dot, you can actually see that there's a whole load of specific functions in there. If I didn't do that, I would have just got the generic entity properties. So that does put us quite far ahead, which is lovely. And one of the properties of spawn point is you can actually access the teleport player function. Notice that it puts a question mark there because we haven't actually tested off the casting that that is a valid object and not like a null reference. So if we say like if, this is how resistance check things, if spawn, I'm going to just do a little curly brace there and pull that down. If I now pull this up here, we can wipe that off, which just remove some uncertainty. We say only actually run this function if you've got a spawn. And now it doesn't put in a question mark for us, which is great. The other thing we need to do is say, well, for the spawn, we're going to teleport a player to it. And that is going to be our target, okay? Right. The other thing I think we're going to do as well, we've teleported the player, but I also want to put in an extra layer, which you may or may not want to do this, and against the target player, and want to set their VoIP and voice over IP, that's their own voice settings. I want to set that to, open brackets, what have we got? HZ dot VoIP setting values dot, I don't want to meet them. Why not? They're in jail. You can stay muted. So again, see, you don't have to use that one, but yeah, it's a thing. But let's just squeeze that up. So that is our kick player logic, guys. There. So you can imagine for release player, it's going to be bloody similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all this. Yeah, I'm not going to do that console log in the bottom, and I'm going to just paste that over here. So it looks very similar, right? But the actual two things we need to change. One, we're setting them back to nearby, okay? So this is in the release player function, where we're storing their ability to speak. And then the other thing is we need to replace this, not jail spawn, but release spawn. So there you go. Check. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to sort of copy this code, okay? And we're going to go, yeah, overlay this. We are now not going to point to any spawns. We're going to take that line out entirely, okay? We're also going to take that out and that out, and it leaves us with just the VoIP setting. But save that, you can see it's a much smaller function. Okay. This is going to be, oops, the second. Sometimes there are conflicts when I save, as I do kind of rapid fire the save button. But, it's a thing. And just overwrite. Right. Hopefully that's come through, guys. Wonderful. So we've now put in some functionality here that we can use. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the release button appear on myself and see what happens. Ready? No, I need to wait for it to compile. Sign my bed. So, if I just quickly restart that. Okay. Let's just keep an eye. There we go. So it sent me over to the release spawn point. That's cool. That worked. I'm sorry that be in the most this is just you can see it. So that sent me over to the release spawn point. Let's do it one more time. Well, right here. And one thing we'll also test if I run back, and we'll just position this right. There's also a jail button. I kick button, I'm sorry. So if I hit the kick button, I'm in jail. You should be able to hear me now. And so when I was sent to jail, of course, you wouldn't be able to hear me, I don't think, because I would have been muted when that happened, and it's kind of part of what we designed. But yeah, also the mute button. Feel free to try that. I won't do it on this video, but yeah, it just runs the same mute command. It sets the VoIP settings to mute. And then if you want them to speak again, you can of course hit the release button. So yeah, that should be quite nicely now. We're not done here, guys. This is going to be a fair old video. We now need to make sure that only moderators can use this. Okay, it's very important. Otherwise, if you have this in your world, if people get to it, they can cause all kinds of mischief. You'll notice I'm not going to cover persistent variables on here as well. So that is like permabans. I don't necessarily agree with permabans, but I think session banning is fine enough. If you do get people causing problems, you can just send them on their merry way and they can join a different instance or whatever.